Purchase your beats today.
As I talk about diversity and inclusion, I find that people still use diversity and inclusion interchangeably. And the new corporate buzzword belonging, can you please just share with our audience what the differences are between diversity, inclusion, and belonging?
Absolutely. And I love talking about this because conversation and actually having empathetic discussion is how we learn, right? That's the best way to learn. And, it's really a journey, at my organization, as Dr. Gwamisi has shared, I was actually one of the founding members of our Diversity and Inclusion Council. And, we always talk about it as a journey. So the first step of that journey, when you think about it, is diversity, right? Which is you just want to make sure that you have a diverse people in the room. And diversity spans a lot of things, right? It's not just gender, it's not just race, but there's all kinds of other aspects of diversity, sometimes that are not obvious. The ones that are always obvious is you see skin color, you see ethnicity, you see gender, you see some of these things that are outside. But there's all elements of diversity. And so the first step in this journey towards belonging and having a truly multicultural and multifaceted society, it's first of all making sure that a room is not, it's not just the same kind of people, right? So it's like you want to make sure you get everybody, you want to make sure that as you're recruiting, and there's very practical steps to do this, as you're recruiting, or if you're a professor, as you're looking at graduate students, wherever you are, if you're a business person, as you're engaging suppliers, or you're engaging customers, you want to make sure that you have a diverse group of people. But then that is just step number one. Because the next step is when you now get all of these different people in the room, do they really interact with each other? Right? I mean, are you really leveraging what they bring to the table? Because if everybody walks into the room and walks out the same way that they did without learning from each other, without interacting with each other, which by the way happens, right? I'm sure we've all been in instances where we felt out of place or we felt unwelcome, or we went to an occasion and said, I'm never going to go back to that space again because I felt very unwelcome. So that's where you have diversity. You can look around and see different people, but there's no inclusion because there's really no effort to make people feel like, there's some cohesiveness or some way to bring people together. And then the next step of the journey is really this whole idea of belonging. And what does it mean? And why is belonging important? Even, what's the business case, right? That's always the question people ask, why should I be forced to interact with people that I don't know, or if I'm not familiar with the culture? So the most important thing about belonging is ownership, right? So think about when you're at your job or even in your home, when you feel like you have a stake in something and you feel you can take ownership and you have confidence that you can make decisions, your engagement is much different, right? And so that's really that's really the business case for belonging. You want people who walk into an office, even if they're a minority, or they walk into a business meeting, or they walk into whatever environment it is, to feel that their voice matters, their expression matters, the ideas they bring to the table matter. And anyone who's managed a diverse team, or even if you've been a professor and you've taught students, one of the quick things you learn is that people bring so many cool and exciting things to the table, and you want to leverage that. That's why innovation has always been really tied to diversity, inclusion, and belonging, because you actually solve problems faster when people all come from a different direction or they bring their own unique experiences. So diversity is good, but it's step number one. I know we use the word a lot. Inclusion is better. And of course, belonging is the best, because that is when people are bringing their true selves. It doesn't mean you're giving up your culture. All it means is that you're bringing what it is about you that is special to the table, and you're able to leverage it and you're able to use it in a way that benefits everybody else.
Wow. What a superb distinction. And you just meant, I like the belonging is ownership. I love that. But one thing you said that struck a chord with me is the idea of coming in, but maintaining your identity.
Purchase your beats today.